This is an ABC News special report.
Good afternoon. I'm Diane Sawyer here with the entire ABC News team at our headquarters in New York, and we are bringing you a special report because we have breaking news. We're going to go to the courtroom where the verdict in the Amanda Knox case is about to be announced. She, of course, the American exchange student accused of murdering her roommate, held for nearly 4 years. The judge is going to speak. We have an interpreter standing by. Let us listen.
The Assisi Court of Perugia, according to Article 605 of the Penal Code, in partial reform of the sentence issued on December 4 and 5, 2009 by the Assisi Court of First Degree of Perugia against Amanda Knox and Sollecito Raffaele, appealed by them and incidentally by the district attorneys of Perugia, declares Knox Amanda Marie guilty of slander, charge F, excluding the aggravating circumstances of the Penal Code, and by recognizing mitigating circumstances according to Article 368 of the Criminal Code. The sentence she's sentenced to 3 years of jail. It's confirmed the lack of civil, and Amanda Knox Marie is sentenced to the payment of the defense costs incurred by Patrick Amunda in the total amount 22,170 euros, in addition to a forfeit reimbursement of general expenses and accessory expenses. Both defendants have been acquitted by the charges A, B, C for not committing the fact, and also charge E because the crime does not exist, and rejecting the request of the public prosecutor. It's ordered that Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito be immediately released. Please, order. And within 90 days, the sentence must be registered.
Let us look at the scene in that courtroom, the word the Knox family has been waiting to hear. She is freed, acquitted of the serious charges. You saw her hugging her attorneys. We saw her earlier breathing heavily, looking stunned, so anxious, near tears. Now she has received the word that she will be coming home. Sitting in the back of that courtroom, her mother, father, who have been by her side for so many days, her sisters, her family, she will be coming home. And Terry Moran, I want to bring you in, Nightline anchor, and he covers the Supreme Court for us. That's her father, we see, standing there looking up at the ceiling. Who knows what he is saying in that moment? What did you hear from this verdict?
A complete repudiation of the prosecution in this case, Dan. This is an amazing turnaround. Amanda Knox was portrayed by the prosecutors and in the Italian media as some kind of enchantress, a sexually obsessed young woman who murdered her roommate. This is a total repudiation. She was acquitted on all the charges, in part because the physical evidence fell apart. The judge made clear that in her statement, her confession supposedly was under mitigating circumstances. It was coerced in some ways, he suggests. And the jury didn't even buy the notion that they had staged the crime scene. This was a total repudiation of the prosecution.
Well, no one has covered this story the way Elizabeth Vargas, 2020 co-anchor, has been covering this case since day one. She is in Perugia, Italy for us right now. And Elizabeth, the family decision to ship her belongings home and bring one suitcase, so certain they were going to bring their daughter home, seems to be vindicated right now. There was her mother. We just saw her mother standing and talking to people.
We spent all of the day with the Knox family off and on. They were so tense and so anxious, Diane. They went through this all 2 years ago with the criminal verdict. The verdict went against them, and they were absolutely devastated. As you pointed out, they brought an empty suitcase here, but they've been packing up Amanda's things now for days and shipping them back to Seattle. This is what they've been hoping for, and they are elated. And Terry was talking about the case falling apart against Amanda Knox. Probably most crucial to fall apart was that DNA evidence. That is really the linchpin and what changed everything in this case, because in this appeals trial, they got those independent court-appointed experts to take a look at that DNA forensic evidence and said it was either non-existent or so hopelessly contaminated it should be inadmissible. And that really was what turned and what changed in this appeals trial from the criminal trial, and what really gave the Knox family and Amanda herself hope. But you saw her in that statement this morning, Diane. She was shaking. The judge said to her several times, if you need to sit down, you can. It was an emotional statement that went over apparently very well with many here in Italy who listened to her plead for her life and say, I am innocent. I am not a killer. I am not a rapist. I am not a thief. I did not do these things. I'm being punished for a crime I didn't commit.
We are looking again at family hugging each other, at the tears we know in her hometown in Seattle. There are cheers and tears there as well from all the people who have been supporting them, not just with moral support, but with money as well to help the family be able to stay there. Once again, her father walking through the courtroom. And a reminder, 4 years in a 13 by 13 cell. She's read apparently 1,000 books, had 1 hour a day to walk around outside. With that in mind, let us roll again the moment she knows it is over. She has been acquitted. Here it is.
Adesso io prendo e lo vado a prendere immediatamente a carcere di Terni. Ci vediamo dopo.
Actually bows over toward the defense table there, Terry.
And what you hear in that courtroom are cheers for people who believe that justice has been miscarried, and jeers. The Italian system was on trial here as well because of the way Amanda Knox was treated in the police station and elsewhere.
With that in mind, let's go to Josh Elliott. He is the Good Morning America news anchor, as everyone knows, and he is outside the courtroom with a lot of Italians who came down just to be there at this hour of the night. Josh.
Yes, Diane, I can tell you the prosecutor, a very polarizing figure in this case, Giuliano Menini, just left the courthouse to utter jeers from a crowd of thousands. It feels as though all of Perugia is now packing the main street outside the courthouse and spilling 40 and 50 deep down every side street leading from the courthouse doors. He came out, briefly attempted to make a statement, and was virtually shouted down. I can also tell you the only vocal reaction of any kind by this crowd prior to the verdict being read was, in fact, when somebody started to scream in Italian to remember the victim here, Meredith Kircher. It was met with great applause. Again, as we are now seeing people file out of the courthouse, to that end, the Kircher family were among the first people to leave, visibly distraught, Diane.
Well, we thank you, Josh. And again, the family of Meredith Kircher was sitting there. Can only imagine what a very tough day every day is for them now. And Elizabeth Vargas will be reporting in again for this evening on World News. Josh Elliott will be there as well. Terry Moran, thank you so much for weighing in on this. And by the way, she can be out in hours or less than hours at this point.
She just has to be processed, head to the airport, come home.
That's it. Okay, we thank you all for being with us for this special report. And again, we'll have full details always at abcnews.com and tonight on World News, and I'll see you then.
This has been a special report from ABC News.